All right. Live on YouTube. Live on YouTube. We're in. I'm in. Hackermans, I'm in. Could also just use the modular control rig for UE for Mannequin. Yeah, one day I'll look at that stuff. I'm not like too worried about it right now because I'm okay with using Blender, even though the Blender workflow is kind of like I feel like I'm stepping on fucking glass anytime I use it. But once we do get into the realm of like doing more enemy animations, oh yeah, dude. Ain't no fucking way. What happened to my guy? What happened to my guy? Where's my guy? Where's my guy? Where's my guy? Where is he? Where did he go? Well, he's right here, but I don't understand. He's just like his material isn't shown in the scene or something. Why? Interesting. Very funny. Anyways, yeah. I think I purposefully made his animation look like shit. Yo, question. What if we do a stepped animation? Yo, what if we go like an art style where it's like all stepped? I can't even change the frames per second. Hey, thank you, Gilgamesh. Thank you. Appreciate it. Glad you enjoy it. I'm working on an update that, for the most part, is just a lot of like improvements and whatnot. Yeah, I don't really like that, to be honest. Hopefully it should be out soon. It's currently in the beta branch. I'm gonna be honest, I forgot what we added to it because it's been so long. Xander? Yeah, thank you. Hopefully I can do the next game justice. Hopefully I can do the next thing justice. Fingers crossed. I did get the bow in, yeah. Couple bugs with it, but nothing too concerning. Nothing that's like, well, kind of game breaking, but. Keep spreading the word. Good looking new one. Hey, appreciate it. Appreciate it. I'm glad your nephew is enjoying it as well. You know, I've actually been thinking if I were to make a game, because at some point I do want to, you know, have a kid and something. I was like thinking like, what kind of game would I make for my kid? I thought of like a fun little educational game where it's like you have a bunch of different like objects and animals and stuff like that. And they could like contextually click the animal or whatever the thing is and it does a different action. Yeah, boring stuff, but you know, for kids, they, you know, teach them words and whatnot. So it's like if there's an apple, they can like click on the apple and it starts like biting away the apple. You know, something satisfying. But something to like teach them different things. I don't know, I thought about it. My son wants me to make Five Nights at Grandma's? What the hell? What the hell? Five Nights at Grandma's? Is the game like, it's a horror game and you have to survive your Nona who wants you to eat like an abundance of food, but if you eat too much food, you die because of caloric intake. Abundance of caloric intake. You guys ever had a grandma that just wants you to just keep eating? Oh, God. I don't know. I thought about it. I'm doing good though. Link, how are you, man? My grandma made me so fat. My grandma couldn't even like challenge my metabolism. Even she couldn't get me to gain weight. I just immediately process it instantly. Just addicted to Monster Hunter right now? Which one? The new one or the old one? And before your mama's so fat, even her grandma stopped feeding her? I don't think anyone's going to say that, but now it's out there in the wild. Oh, Monster Hunter Worlds. What's the new one? Is it Monster Hunter Wilds? Monster Hunter Wild? Some Monster Hunter Flint and Steel? I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I respect Monster Hunter Worlds, and I tried to play it. I don't know how many hours I have in it. Pretty sure like I played a little bit of it, if I remember correctly. 8 hours. I just couldn't really go... I just couldn't get into it all that much. I don't know. I don't know if I like the combat. I think it looks cool, but I just don't know if I vibe with it. I think it was how slow everything felt. Maybe that's not what it was. I don't know. I just couldn't get into it. I had that problem when you joined an MMO after a few expansions. You just get bombarded with stuff. Yeah, you kind of just... I think I tried to play New World again, and I was like, dude, I cannot get into this. It's too much. There's too much going on. Now that we have headshots, though, we're going to have to do a lot of balancing. Because we can essentially one-hit kill everything. Which is, of course, not ideal. So we'll have to figure out all of our damage values and health values and kind of figure out, like, a good starting ground for everything. It's going to be an interesting challenge. Okay. What are we doing today? Oh yeah, I was off stream coming up with what kind of stats we're going to want. Hand-to-hand damage, so that's your punching and kicking. Melee weapon damage. Ranged weapon damage. I almost want to call the hand-to-hand damage CQC damage. CQC. I feel like it's not really fitting for the style it's in. Charge up, kick, attack. We kind of technically have the beginnings of it. Now we just need to get strong attacks in with the melee weapons. So technically, we would have different animations for the strong attacks. But for now, what we're going to just do is... because I need like a two-handed... I'm thinking for the strong attacks, it'd be like two-handed. I also did something. I made it so walking backwards is slower. It's like 30% slower. Which I feel like kind of leans into the type of game that I'm trying to create, I guess, which is like more forward facing rather than like backing up from everything. Or at least being more strategic and like turning around and whatnot. I could always change those values, but I thought that was a kind of like a neat idea to put that in. So I just quickly slapped that in. New projectile, don't care. Basic bow animations. I think we can call this done. Yeah. Hitbox system, we got a little bit of that in already. I just have to apply it to all of these different enemies. Does the crawler even have a physics mesh? I would assume it does. Why is it that I can't see any of the enemies? Like, for some reason, I just can't see them. Enemy dematerialize. Uh-oh. They use a custom primitive data. And I guess... Uh-oh. I guess the problem is... Great. It's defaulting to 0 because there's no... Can I maybe put some primitive data in here? Well, that's really annoying. What if I unhook this for now? Okay. We got a lot of bones in here. Like, a lot of bones in here. I ain't gonna lie. Some of these bones aren't even, like, properly attached to anything. As you can see. Spider's got a lot of bones. Maybe a little too many bones. Please tell me that was local rotation. Okay, looks like it. That's just a lot going on, man. Can I mirror this on the other side? Oh, it duplicates it. And it does it incorrectly. Very cool. Very cool. Man, I really hate how the preview for this looks, to be honest. Also, this seems really, like, thick. Oh, no, do that one. There we go, thank you. Okay, so this is going to be important for us because all of our attacks are going to read from these bones. That being said, there is a lot going on here. Maybe a bit too much. Like this bone should probably be rotated like this. This bone should probably be a little bit more inside. I hate how they put the simulate button in like the weirdest spot. Like, I really don't know why it's under a drop. Like, why is it under a drop box, man? Why is it under a drop box? Okay, looks okay. Looks okay to me. So we got head and then the fangs, which honestly, I might delete the bones on these just because that might get in the way. Gotta make the spiders move like a ragdoll for the arachnophobe mode. Nah, the arachnophobe mode is just gonna take the spider and turn it into a cat, a billboard cat. If I remember correctly, that's what Satisfactory did, which I thought was kind of funny. Yeah, moving backwards is a lot slower now, which I think is great. What is the enemy red emissive? Oh, this is the crawler. This isn't the guy that explodes. Where's the guy that explodes? The popper. The popper. Enemy popper butt. Okay. Oh, that's why he doesn't fade out. He doesn't have a mask. Let's just hook that up. Please stop saying popper and butt in the same instance. Enemy popper butt. What? You uncomfortable? What's wrong? Ah. Okay. Now we need to apply. Does this guy use the same physics? Ah, shit. What is that? Its head? What the hell is that? That's its spine and its head looks like that? Oh, to be honest, I don't think we need the head. I think we could just define that as the spine. We got the butt. What's really funny is that you can kind of tell what it is from all of these capsules. you can kind of tell what it is from the capsule, which is pretty funny. Just all of these capsules. Okay, so hitboxes are basically just a map. We take each object here and any of them that we want to define. Unplug this again. They literally can't preview the thing otherwise. Is there a button to just quickly toggle the capsules? Maybe in here? God, I really dislike this new thing that they got going on, man. How do I hide the bones temporarily? Surely there has to be a way to just hide them temporarily, right, guys? Maybe it's in here? Maybe in here? Maybe... Show debug visualization options. Yes! Like, I really don't think the head is necessary, especially considering the spine handles all of that. Problem is, if I delete the head, does it delete the fangs as well? Let's try simulating. Seems like it just goes under the spine instead. I just don't know if we need to simulate these little tiny pieces. I just don't think that's like necessary. This is how they should move in the world. That'd be Pog. Okay, so the spine will end up being the main thing. And then let's rotate this. Get that. Let's get the butt. Let's get the button here. Hey, Rahul, how's it going? Okay, so that's working well. So spine 01 will become like I don't know if I want to make it so it's like that deals more damage. But I guess we can. Yeah, I guess we can. So spine underscore 01. Let me see what we gave the grunts. What kind of damage value did we give for the grunt? The head, oh, the head is a 50% damage increase. That's kind of crazy. So I guess what we could do is make it so the head is like the only way to like deal big damage. Whereas spine 02 or the butt, maybe the butt deals, you deal less damage to the butt. Although I guess that doesn't make too much sense. We might change that. What we could do for hitting the legs is it also deals less damage. However, there's a lot of legs. I'm gonna be honest. There's a lot of legs, and you know what would have been a good idea is if I coded this to allow me to put just like upper leg and lower leg, and then it could just figure out the rest. That would have been a good idea. Yeah, that would have been a good idea. Aren't all the legs the same? Yes. Which is why I'm thinking we should just code it to like read from if the text starts with something. If it starts with it, then it could just do it. So then that way we don't have to like put all of these as a different input. That would suck. Get him, Nord. Let's make that improvement before I rip my hair out. I'm already getting gray hairs. I don't need more. Hit bone name. Find. Mm-hmm. Okay. We are going to need to do our own finding system if we want to do this. But you can see I had to do that here. Upper leg underscore left, upper leg underscore right, lower leg underscore left. Obviously, for a humanoid character like this, it was easier, but once you start getting into characters that have 5 million legs, such as a spider, it gets kind of annoying. Yeah. So, and we'll probably have a lot of instances like that. Would save me a lot of time. Okay. We're gonna have to change this. We'll make a pure function for this. bone name. And then it's going to output the damage multiplier associated with that one. And if there was a bone that was found. So it's going to function similarly to how we have now, but instead it's going to look through all the different names. So this is going to do a for each loop of the hitboxes. Interesting, a for each loop map functions differently. Huh. It's a different macro. Sure. You have golden apple. Let's add a millipede enemy and each leg does different damage. You know, there is a really cool enemy in Devil Daggers that's like this centipede kind of thing. It would be really cool adding monsters like that. Now, I'm not saying each leg does... Shut up. We're not going to do that. But it would be cool to have enemies like that, like big monsters like that. I'm doing good though, Nord. How are you? So... great. We have to turn this into a string. Which really sucks. Super wavy and dynamic. It's really cool, man. It's really, really cool. I would love to make a combat system where if you're like... Because how that enemy works in that game is you basically go underneath it while it does like a curve. And you shoot at it from below. And that like gives you the most optimal thing. Now, when you have a sword, I think it'd be really cool if like you could aim like upwards. I don't know, maybe aim upwards and you do like a down slash or something. I think there's some, we should do some experimentation there to figure out like what would feel, you know, what would feel good to do something like that. Because I think, I don't want to make, right now, all of the attacks are these two attacks. I think it could be really cool to incorporate some other stuff in there. Holding the sword in place instead of slashing. I don't know if I would do something like that. I think what I would do is like, when you're holding down the left click to do a strong attack, you can like direct the direction of which direction the sword might go in. Otherwise, we can maybe figure out some contextual system. So it's like, if we did do the centipede in that structure, maybe it's like, it automatically determines what kind of attack you want to go for. I don't know. It'd be really cool. Because imagine if you could do that with other enemies, like attacking from above and do like a down slash. And then maybe it's like, it deals additional damage or something like that. I think that could be really cool. Bluetooth? I think there's some really cool stuff we could potentially do there. Directional dynamic attack sounds awesome. I wanted to do so much of that with Ronin, but it just didn't feel right, which really is unfortunate. I think it was just the way I wanted to approach it. Just felt maybe outdated. So I would like to figure out a way of like doing something fun there still. Bluetooth. Server has an uptick in population again. I know that was a concern of yours, is that the server was dying. Your server that you were playing on. What was it, Space Station 13 again? Was it Space Station 13? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we're gonna do a thing that starts with. We actually want the source string to be the bone name. And then we check if it starts with something. How expensive is it, do you think, is to convert a name to a string in an operation? How expensive would that be? is that expensive. Mordhau's directional swing system is incredible. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they do it. I should probably buy Mordhau to see how they do it. Surely it's negligible? Probably. Aren't names strings by default? I don't know how it's processed behind the scenes. Listen, I'm not that kind of programmer. Let's don't get it twisted. Okay? I'm not that kind of programmer. If it's on tick, then it can become expensive. Yeah, but anything can become expensive on tick. Technically. Technically anything can become expensive on tick. But I am curious when it comes to converting something in place. I wonder how much, yeah. Requires a 4090. Don't tell that to the gamers. They'll have something new to talk about with UE5 and spread more misinformation. I have 3,100 hours in that game, not biased at all. Holy moly balls. How does the directional attacks work in Mordhau? Is it like the direction that you're looking in? Are they using... Because I had an idea at one point of using the scroll wheel in and scroll wheel out, which I think Chivalry does, if I remember correctly. Yeah. I think Chivalry does that. Fname is just an index to an array of strings. Oh yeah, I remember reading something about, I think it was names, the variable names. Every letter is its own, like, anytime you want to like search for if this is equal to something, you're actually like searching every single letter. I don't remember if it was names, and I don't remember if it was that specifically, but I remember there was someone saying, like, when you try to compare two, like, names or strings or whatever, it's searching literally every single letter. It's almost doing, like, a loop. I remember seeing something there. I don't know if it was names or if it was something else. Don't 100% remember. Scroll up is stab, scroll down is overhead swing. Right. I was thinking of doing something like that for this game, but then I was like, how do we do controller support with that many buttons, and then on top of that have abilities and all these other things? So I was like, okay, we're just going to cut that idea and instead make it contextual or something. That'd be strings? Is it strings? So are you telling me this is actually more expensive than if I did an equal? Interesting. That kind of sucks. That kind of sucks. Oh well. Let's make a local variable called found bone. Whenever we find a bone, we're going to set this to true. We can also do a sequence here and break this so it stops the loop from continuing, because we don't no longer need to go through the loop. And then we can return. I guess we technically don't need to break it because return would just cut this loop anyways, but whatever. Actually, yeah, we don't need that. We don't need it. Bone found. And then map value would be the damage molt. But if we end up completing this, we can actually set this to 1. We actually don't need the bone found anymore now that I think about it. We technically don't need it now that I think about it. I really hate how close this is. This breaks a lot of rules for me right here. There we go. Thought names were all static, like you can't make a dynamic name. I don't know, man. I have no idea. I wish I knew these things. So, because we don't need this anymore, we actually don't need this select. We could just hook this up. Learn them? I don't care. I don't care for like the giga optimization stuff. One day I'll learn it like whenever it pops up. I just don't care for it. Present. How's the game dev going? It's going well, I think. You can convert a string to a name. In Unreal, I think you could just do everything. You can do everything. Now, what happens behind the scenes to convert something? Do not know. There are instances where, depending on which one you choose, it does fuck up the text, though. I've had that instance occur in the past. I have 2 exams for computer engineering, physics, and math. Yeah, good luck, man. Good Godspeed. Those are my 2 fucking arch nemesi. Okay, let's see if that works now. Like, if I go to the grunt, and instead of upper leg left and right, and I delete this one, I delete this one. Now, both upper legs should have 0.8 multiplier. I think so. Looks about right to me. Yeah, that looks good to me. I'd love to make it so hitting an enemy in the leg or in the foot does something for you. One day, possibly. The damage map should be a data asset. The problem is that all of the enemies have different names in their physics bodies, which is why I give them different data. What they should be, though, is not a map. It should be a struct. Because at some point it might become more complex, where hitting them in a specific spot hitting them in a specific spot could maybe provide a like a modifier or something, and I think that would be gameplay ability system coming into play. Like maybe an effect is applied or something. And on top of that, that could always be a dynamic thing. Maybe there's an item that does something. Hitting enemy in a leg does something, right? Or hitting enemy in the head does something, right? That's what interfaces are for. Yeah. If you share a skeleton but have different class, the names will be the same. Yeah, we could make data assets for them. I just don't want to over-engineer anything right now, because everything is still like super prototypey. Thank you, Lucky Boy. Like, this isn't really like the final art style. It's kind of like, you know, prototype. We got like a cool little edge shader going on. And some like, you know, thematically there's a lot of red color used and whatnot, but we'll figure out how we're going to end up doing the art style. I'm not 100% certain how we're going to do things yet. My friend's about to build his new PC soon. Hey, I hope it goes well. Hope all the pieces work. That's what I'm always terrified about when it comes to building a PC entirely from scratch, like from the beginning. You have like 6 or 7 different pieces that could be, you know, you just get unlucky with like shipping, or like one of the pieces are just, what do you call that? Not broken, but it's like one of the pieces are just fucked. Could be the GPU, could be one of the sticks of RAM, could be the motherboard, the CPU. It's different when you already have a built PC and you're just swapping out pieces, because then it's like, if it doesn't work, Yeah, faulty, I guess is the best word. It's different when you're like upgrading one thing, because it's like, oh, if your PC's not working after upgrading that one thing, chances are, you know, it's that one thing. My motherboard fried and killed the RAM too when I got this PC. Oh my god, dude. I wouldn't wish PC problems even on my greatest enemies. Okay. Okay, hitbox system, we've improved it a little bit, which is very nice. Very, very nice. So now what I can do in the crawler is we can write upper leg and lower leg, and we don't have to write them 5 million times. Upper leg, lower leg, and then we can make it so those deal half damage. So let's test it out on the crawler. So if we hit him in the leg, he'll deal 15 damage. There's no damage decrease for hitting this guy in the arm. I don't know if there should be. I guess there might as well be because the bone is there. But... back when my work got me a new PC, I said I want it shipped assembled. I don't care if you pay $100 more, at least I'm off the hook for any potential damage. Ideally, yeah, when you get a pre-built or, you know, something assembled, honestly, putting in that extra money, in my opinion, is worth it. It's definitely worth it, because it's like, usually, you would assume that they would test it to make sure everything's operational. And potentially even do some profiling just to make sure like it runs fine, you know what I mean? Like do a little test with one of those like visual stuff. Honestly, I would just get like an assembled PC these days. I think assembled or pre-built is like cheaper these days, right? It's like sometimes a bit cheaper. What's the general game idea so far? It's a... honestly, I'm still trying to figure it out as we go, Lucky Boy. Like, I'm still somewhat trying to figure out like the design of the game. But all we know is it's like a fantasy arena-ish style roguelike, kind of Risk of Rain style, and the general like pitch is ascend the tower and become powerful. That's like our general experience. So we got like inspiration from like Dishonored, Risk of Rain, Dark Messiah, Might and Magic, kind of like stuff like that, Devil Daggers kind of style. But I also, at the same time, don't 100% know what I want the game to be at the same time. You know, we're trying to figure it out. I think that's okay to do, to an extent. You know, obviously I do want to nail down what the experience would be. And I have a general idea in my head, but I also don't know. I feel like it makes more sense if the butt had critical damage and the head was like armored. Did I forget to add the Discord? Ah, whatever. I don't know how long this stream will be, so I don't know if it's worth it. Ah, whatever, let's just, whatever. Just add the Discord and end the stream immediately? Classic. Headshot, headshot. Not a headshot. Oh, washed. Ooh. That guy doesn't have a head. At Discord, hey, I was online, you missed it. This is kind of bugged. I need to fix this. I don't know if you guys noticed the problem, but there is a big problem. There's a huge, humongous problem. Not sure if you guys notice what the problem is. No, what's wrong with it? I don't know. It's Jork Tech? Why is it called Jork Tech? I made an annoying drone that shoots you in Unreal. Ooh. I need to fix the, If not a secret, what's the revenue of Suit for Hire so far? Oh, you know, like at least $10. It's a C-suite decision. The damn C-suite! Technically, every decision we make for these games is all C-suite. Yeah, I don't really like to talk about the game's revenue. Your aim sucks, donkey. Yeah, listen here, you son of a bitch. You see that VIP icon? When you wake up next time, you might not have it. Listen here, okay? Okay. Nice. I'm glad we changed that system. See that foreskin when you wake up? I'm not going to continue that. I wouldn't want to talk about it too if I was a millionaire. I'm not a millionaire. You motherfuckers don't spread misinformation. Well, who are you, John Nanite? Listen here, punk. He's a $10-dollionaire. Yeah, exactly. Magma knows. Who is John Nanite? Dude, I don't know. He's just John Nanite, dude. It's John Nanite. John of the Nanite. John of Nanite. Does that also mean that there's also a John Laud? There's apparently a Jack Lumen. What the fuck? Switch on task type, fuck you, Unreal? Okay, who made that? Guys, someone raise your hand. Who the hell made that? That's gonna fuck up our chances of getting a mega grant. We can't have that in here. We're gonna be in deep trouble. I saw a comment on Hornpub with the name John You're kidding. There's no person that made their... Also, why are you looking at the comments? Also, why are you on that website? Also... You want to talk about that? You want to talk about that? Came back and saw fuck you, Unreal. Why am I always at the right time? Guys, stop. You just don't spread misinformation. I don't know what that function was. I don't know who put it there. But they're an inside job and they're trying to get me in trouble. I love how awfully off topic the stream gets every couple of minutes. This is an ADHD friendly stream. We change the subject every 3 to 2 minutes. Anyways, guys, I went to a cafe and I got myself a pumpkin spice latte with 2 croissants. And let me tell you, damn good. Let me tell you, damn good. You know how much it cost me, though? 2 croissants and a coffee? Any guesses? Any guesses? Okay, we got some guesses in the chat. We got 10 euros, pounds, whatever the fuck that icon is. Hey, listen, we're in America here, okay? Get with the times. $20, $600, $20, $30, too much. 10 because that's all you have. Well, luckily I have additional more than $10, but it cost me $20, or specifically $19.61. Did you say 2 croissants, fat ass? What the fuck, man? Dude, 2 croissants is not fat ass. Now 3 Now 3, and one of them being a chocolate croissant, okay, then you can call me fat ass. But like, don't call me... What's 4 then? I don't know, diabetes? I don't know. Chocolatine, my beloved. Honestly, I from this place, I actually prefer the butter croissants, to be honest. Yeah, but that's Canadian money, not worth the paper it's printed on. You're not wrong, but also correction. We don't print our dollars on paper. It's like plastic. Okay, okay. Let's not get it twisted. We don't waste paper. We use like some kind of plastic. I hate croissants. They're too French. What the fuck? Is this a Hassan stream? What the hell is going... What? Did you why did you specify like you bought 3? No, I bought 2, not 3. I bought 3 a few weeks ago. Wait, so if I eat a Costco brownie, 3 chocolate bars, and like 20 candies, am I a fat ass all of a sudden? I don't know. I can't decide that for you. That's up to you. So you were a fat ass a few weeks ago. Guys, I'm going to be honest. While my metabolism works in a speedy way, all of my fat actually does go to my ass. So you calling me a fat ass is extremely rude, and I'm offended, because it actually does go to my ass. It goes nowhere else. I literally don't know why. I got a fat dumpy. I did not like saying that. I feel like that works better for other streamers. That doesn't work for me. Let's just forget that we said that, okay? We seen it when you're doing push-ups. Don't mention that. Okay, let's get back to work, right, guys? Okay, stamina. Great, of course. I'd rather have a big fat ass than a belly, just saying. I'm a guy. That's true. Why'd you have to specify I'm a guy? Is it different for a female? How about not using stamina when sprinting? No one likes it. Yeah, but like, how are you gonna? How like, listen, the enemy's got to catch up to you somehow. Most men love an ass on women. I assume that's why I specified. Hey, I'm shocker. Women, some women love a fat ass too. All right, and I mean like a fat ass on the man sometimes. All right. Just got to find that special someone who's into that. Isn't pumpkin latte bullshit iconic for the amount of sugar in it? Why do you gotta ruin the fun, man, with your stupid fucking specific information that might be correct and it is probably accurate? You gotta be that guy in the back. Hey, that has 30 grams of sugar. Yeah, okay, man. Listen, it's delicious. And it's only for the season. It's gonna be gone before I know it. What are you guys talking about in here? I actually don't know anymore. What we are talking about is stamina. Actually, strong attacks with a melee weapon. Yeah, I want to do that instead. Would the game have stealth? I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to stealthily get away from that question by not answering it. Yo, bro, I make games too? Yo, hell yeah, Steve. Steve! This is a cult you're fighting. We're fighting demons, currently. Thematically. I don't know if it's going to have, like, stealth. I don't know if it's gonna have like stealth. Have I seen Pigface? What is that, a movie? Steve! Am I a demon too? Yes. Thematically, we are also a demon. Well, at least when this prototype was made, that was the idea. I don't know if we'll keep the same character model. No one's wearing clothes in the game? We can assume that everyone's wearing clothes. Why is the demon killing the demons? Is this more like a good versus evil type of thing you're going for? Kind of. The overall story that I'm kind of going for right now is you were killed in the mortal realm, and now you were brought to heaven to kill the monsters. But the people that killed you is actually the gods of heaven. And so at the end of the game, you actually start killing the gods of heaven. I don't know, I'm just coming up with some random shit. I'm not a writer. I'm not a story writer. Very doom-pilled. It's just, you know, they didn't kill your pet bunny or something. Heaven has monsters. It's being overrun by monsters. As it's an issue I think many people face with their personal projects. Do you have any tips on how to stay motivated to keep working on a bigger project over a long time? To be honest, I'm not the best person for answering this question. I think I can maybe give some tips of... I don't think motivation is the problem. I think discipline is the real... discipline, scheduling, and scope, I think, are generally the things that I would answer. Let's open up Paint. Let's go. Let's open up. Let's whip up. Let's whip it. Yep. So here's what I would say. Scope is an important one, and this goes down into like subsections of like features and concepts that are reachable. They don't have to be like the easiest features in the world, okay? They don't have to be features that you've designed 20 times. They're at least features that you can somewhat understand to an extent of how you would potentially implement it, and things that you might have to learn in, you know, putting in those features. 2, I would say, is scheduling. I hate writing with a mouse. Scheduling. Don't work more than you have to. And by that I mean, if you're feeling like you're on a roll, stop. That's the best time to stop, is when you start feeling like you're on a roll. And space out your work. You can give yourself rules like minimum 3 hours per day, maximum 4 or 5, or something like that. Or you just say, I'm going to work 4 hours on this day, and I'm not going to work at all on this day. And you got to give yourself days where you don't work. You got to give yourself days that you don't work at all. And you just say, today is my day for myself. I usually say that over weekends is usually like my days where I just keep to myself. I play games. I have a good time. I lose in deadlock, and then I get pissed off at my teammates. You know, like those, you know, you got to have a couple days like that. You know what I mean? Another one that I'd say is work on, how am I going to write this? Work on something. Let's go back. Work on something that you want to work on, but also acknowledge when there are hurdles in your way for features that you haven't done before, and it's a struggle, but it's a struggle because you don't know what to do there. Work on something. There's a text tool. Yeah, but it's too small. Oh, you can change the size of it. Ah, whatever, man. Let's just use the brush. Work on something that you want to work on, at least to an extent. This, I think, can be somewhat problematic, so I'll put an asterisk next to it, because if we truly wanted to work on anything we wanted to work on, we would not work on things that we struggle at working on, and then we'd end up just starting new projects constantly. And that can be a problem. So obviously you have to notice when like something becomes a struggle and a challenge, and you kind of have to like tell yourself, okay, how will I confront this challenge? I think the biggest thing that I would say with motivation, it's not motivation, it's mindfulness. I think mindfulness is a big one. Mindfulness is like, when you think about it, all of these come down to like mindfulness. Doing things with explicit intent, you know, scheduling could be starting a Trello or starting some sort of Kanban board or something. Also, you know, like another thing that I would say is scope goes into this concept of like follow an experience or a hook, or whatever fucking term you want to use. And then that way you design your scope around what your like game is trying to be, or your project is trying to be. That way you don't like add 5 million features, because then once you do that, the project will seem so far away. I think that's a big problem as well. And then that will feed into demotivation and 5 million other factors that makes it, you know, yeah. So that's my tips, at least from my own experience. Any general tips on how to learn the things that are outside of your scope? I would say start with some videos, but don't follow those videos one-to-one. I would start with those videos and maybe try to see any potential features that might at least push you in a direction to learn what you need to do for that that feature that you're working on. So for example, when I was doing a wall running system, this was like years ago, when I was first doing a wall running system for Ronin, I watched a video and I learned about a node called launch character in UE, and that allowed me to at least go into a direction and learn how to at least get started with like pushing my character along a wall or something like that. And I learned more about math and stuff like that. I think the thing with learning a new feature, especially when you're first starting out, is you're not going to know a lot of programming elements within this, whatever space you're in. So a lot of it is going to be like new. And you're probably going to recreate that thing like 10 times until you like slowly figure it out and you're like, oh, it's actually kind of working and doesn't require me to do like a specific key input. Otherwise the whole game breaks, you know? So, there's a lot of struggle, especially starting out. As you start working on more features, other features become more approachable because it's like, oh, I can make a comparison to this feature with other features and it becomes a little bit more accessible. And then you kind of slowly figure it out a little bit more. That would be my tips. That's my tips. Coming from a guy who only has one game release. But I think mindfulness is a big one. I think mindfulness, you could compile everything down to like mindfulness. Yeah. You know, Sharma, have I finished the John Wick title? Kind of, yes. There's still a couple more updates we're doing for it, but it's generally done-ish. But yeah, that's my tips for that. Mindfulness. You know, if you feel like you're procrastinating and your project is going nowhere, even though you're on your time to work on the thing that you're working on, you know, that's mindfulness. It's asking yourself a question, what am I doing? What am I doing? What the hell am I doing? What am I doing with my life? Like right now, let's do some work. Let's get some work done. So where were we? Strong attacks with a melee weapon. I kind of want to make the different animations for this. Any advice on when to quit a job to go full-time? You'll know. You'll know when it is proper to do that based off of your savings, based off of a multitude of factors. Everyone's, I can't give you an answer to that like fully because everyone's situation is different. You might have kids, you might be married, you might have a house to pay off, you might have debts that you have to pay off, you might have whatever. I think you'll know based off of your financial situation. I would recommend do not go full-time until you at least maybe have a game that's ready to release, or, you know, close to release and you know it's going to do relatively well, or maybe you're close to retirement or something. I don't know. Like I said, everyone is going to have a different situation for that kind of question, so I can't really like answer it. What I would say is don't quit if you haven't even started yet. The idea of making games can be one that is like a fantasy, right? You can dream about it. Yeah. It's a lot easier to dream about it than making it. I'm 70 and retired. Should I learn Unreal or Unity? I don't know. Try both of them. Or try whichever one that vibes more with you. Nice line, by the way. Don't quit before you even start. Yeah. I think game development on in your head might seem like this grandiose thing, but then when you start doing it, it's really not that grand. It's a very cool, don't get me wrong, it's great, but you really have to be ready for like a huge struggle bus. And whatnot. It is, I think based off of what I've seen from like gamers thinking about making a game versus actually making a game, it is like they have all these great ideas, but once you actually start applying those ideas and trying to make them, yeah. It's a very romanticized job for sure. Definitely. Very romanticized. As is with many creative arts, but I think film and games are probably some of the most romanticized stuff, and then when you actually start making the thing, it's like, huh, this actually fucking sucks ass. This actually sucks balls. This picture in my head, it's becoming scrambled. I actually have most skills to make a fully playable game, but I lose momentum, get distracted, run out of time. Then your problem is not the skill of making games, it's potentially the skill of project management, which then that means you actually don't have most skills to make a fully playable game. You are lacking in some of the more important ones. And so I would say, look at what it is that causes issues in your development, that causes you to not continue it, and then nail those down. And that, I think, you know, goes down in that pathway of mindfulness again. Discipline is what I need. I think what you need is hunger, thirst. And I'm not talking the gameplay mechanics. You got to be hungry for it. You got to have some sort of pushing force. You need two croissants. Butter croissants. I also think leaning too much into discipline as well can be dangerous. Like, what is discipline, right? Is discipline opening up your game engine once every weekday and getting some stuff done? I don't have time. I'm 90. I need answers now. Bro just aged 20 years in 9 seconds. Hey, when you're in the game development space, it does feel like that. Hey, don't get it twisted. Me working on my game. Guys, I've gotten an additional 6 gray hairs. What happened? I'm supposed to only get gray hairs when I'm 50. What happened? I'm not even 30 yet. Are you more of a Germa or a Northern Lion? I'm gonna be honest, I've been watching more NL. But I did used to watch a lot of Germa. I used to watch quite a bit of Germa. The one time I went to TwitchCon, Germa signed my my Twitch badge, my TwitchCon badge. I thought that was pretty cool. He signed your dumpy? He did not sign my dumpy. He did not sign my dumpy. But next time I meet him, if that's ever, and that's probably never, I will ask him to sign my dumpy. I like your do not list. This is like okay, because we're still trying to figure out some of the game design. I'm like, okay, if we can't 100% figure out what I want to do, let's make a list of things that I do not want to do. Yeah, no piss. No piss. No piss. No piss. That's very important. Yeah, well, no piss. I'm sorry, no piss. Fishing minigame is not on the not to-do list. Could come at any moment of time. Yeah, meeting Germo was interesting. But I think I learned after going to TwitchCon, it's just not my vibe. It's just, I don't really care for meeting streamers. Meeting Germo is interesting, and I only literally went up to him because I like saw him. I was like, oh, cool, I'll just say hi. And then he was like, you want a picture? I'm like, sure, I guess. And then he's like, you want me to sign your badge? And I'm like, sure, I guess. I literally just want to say, hey, love the streams. And that was it. And he's like, hey, you want a picture? Because, like, I saw Tim the Tap Man as well and whatnot. And I was like, I just don't really give a shit for that. You know? I just don't really care for it. I used to live in California, and you'd, like, see celebrities all the time. And there's, like, I don't know if it's, like, an unspoken rule, but I feel like I've been told this by people that live in California for a long time. There's, like, an unspoken rule where you just don't go up to celebrities. But I just never really had a desire to go up to a celebrity, to be honest. I just didn't really care for it. I just don't care. It's like, oh, that's cool. You made insert movie? That's cool. Anyways. If I saw you in real life, I would run. Yeah, because I look like Slender Man. Don't pick up that note on the tree. Don't do it. Do I like Half-Life? I think Half-Life is cool. I like some of the design philosophies they have behind making Half-Life. I also have no desire to meet anyone famous. I just don't really care for it. And especially now, I have like no... It's kind of like bad and good in a way. I have no like idols that I look up to in game development. Like I just don't give a shit. I don't care. I really don't care. I don't know. It's good and bad because it's like you got to have people you kind of look up to, I guess, but also like I just don't really care for it. I don't know, I just don't really care. It's weird. I think my game dev idol is Bruce Straley. Bruce Straley. Let's see, who is that? Bruce Straley. Google searching. American game director and artist who worked on... He previously worked for the video game developer Naughty Dog. Oh, for Last of Us and Uncharted 4. Very interesting. Very interesting. Here's a random Reddit post that I found on Google. Fun fact, The Last of Us is a masterpiece because Bruce Straley directed it. Then Neil took over and everything he makes is trash. What the fuck? Yep, that's Reddit, all right. Yeah, that's Reddit. Do you see that Cuff Bust came out today? What is Cuff Bust? Is Cuff Bust, what's his face's name? Oh my god, it's mixed? Oh god. You know the really funny thing about Cuff Bust? And I don't mean this in a rude way. But I remember seeing someone's tweet. He was like, oh, well, time to put all your market research ideas to the test. That was kind of like the general consensus of that comment. He released it for 20 bucks and now it's halved. Mine used to be Todd Howard, but as life goes on, I also started to idolize people less and more strive and notice people's values that I respect and want to self-improve towards. So less hold people and more their values. Yeah, that's fair. I can respect that. And by idolize, I don't mean idolize in like the way that people blindly just follow a person, right? I think it's just like you look up to that person. Like, I don't even look up to like, you know, some people might bring up Gabe Newell. I don't really look up to Gabe Newell. I think it's cool, the stuff that he did. But that being said, he was just I guess, I would say he was on board with the development process that was healthy and allowed other people that had creative visions to push the games that Valve created, I guess. But like, I don't really like look up to people at all. I respect what they can create and what they made. I just, I don't know. I guess as life goes on, I think the only person I look up to an extent, is myself. Like, what can I do? Like, how can I better myself? But that's not really like idolizing. That's just like looking at, okay, it's not about like, how can I get to a level of someone else? It's more so, how can I get to the level that I want to be at, I guess? I don't know. I just imagine when Gabe Newell dies, Steam becomes a shitfest. Isn't it, doesn't he want his son to like take over, but his son doesn't really care for games at all or something? I don't remember. I read that somewhere, but that could have been like, could have been bullshit. It's far more casual. Idolize is the wrong word. Yeah, I brought that word up because it was the only thing I could think of. I guess look up to is more so what I would define, but it's like I don't really have anyone that I can look up to. I don't know if that's because like as things keep coming out about people, you know, like their downfalls, because everyone's human at the end of the day. It's more, it gets to a point where I'm like, you know what, actually maybe it's a good idea I just don't look up to anybody, because the chances they're a piece of shit is very high. Oh, maybe that's what happened. I don't know. I literally don't know. I just don't know. I just have no drive to like look up to someone, because it's like, I sadly don't care for it. I would love to. You know what I mean? I guess I look up to like, maybe I slightly look up to the developer of Stardew Valley to an extent. I used to look up to YouTubers when I was younger and they were all pedophiles. Oh God. Gotta go old school. Cliffy B and John Romero. I don't even know who Cliffy B is. Is that a rapper? Cliffy B. Blazinski. Unreal in the Gears of War series. Yeah, but it's like, I just don't really care. It's like, that's cool, but I don't really care. Tim Sweeney, I don't really care. I just, you know, who's John Romero? That sounds familiar. I think that's Doom. John Romero? Doom, right? Yeah, Wolfenstein, Doom, Quake, yeah. Even John Carmack, I just don't... I don't really give a shit. I respect what they were able to do, but I don't really care. Look up to Timothy Kane in game dev. Timothy Kane, yes, I remember some of his videos. Yeah, I'm not even joking. I kind of look up to you. Hey, you watch it. Fucking watch it there. Hey, be careful. I'm not like the, you know, I'm not the best role model either. I'm very bad when it comes to work-life balance. You know? I can be a bit of a dick. I met Tim Sweeney. He's very awkward. I could imagine he has, you know, a little bit of social awkwardness. I could imagine. Where the fuck I am? Oh, right. Let's do strong attacks with a melee weapon. I used to look up, then I grew up, and now I only look down. Damn, bars! 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 Shut up, man. What are you, 8 feet tall? What are you gonna do, look down? He's a millionaire, dude? You're out of touch. I'm not a millionaire. I'm not... Okay, I'll be upfront with you guys. If I do ever somehow magically become a millionaire, I will be upfront with you guys. Also, what do you define as a millionaire? Is it like someone who gets 1 million? Or is it someone who is like making multiple millions? What is defined as a millionaire? I assume Suitfire is all finished. Not 100%. I'm still releasing like a couple updates. But we're working on this now. It's like... I don't fully know what the experience is going for. This is our current quote, which is like ascend the tower and become powerful. It's like a fantasy arena style roguelike kind of, where you like ascend 5 floors and each floor has like a different theme. Kind of Risk-A-Rain-ish style. But there's a large likelihood that we scope down a lot of things because I don't want to spend 5 million years on this game. Yeah. Multiple millions? I view a millionaire as someone who is consistently at millions and maybe potentially making, I don't know, 300K a year or maybe even $1 million a year. I would view that as a millionaire because the thing is in Canada with Canadian dollars, the minimum of a house is like $1 million, and it's a fucking dinky shed. It's a bit like Vampire Survivors 3D, kind of. I'm kind of designing it more in a slower, more methodical design. Kind of like Dark Messiah of Might and Magic, a little bit like Dishonored is what I'm kind of picturing. But who knows? Maybe I end up just giving in and we go for kind of Vampire Survivors 3D. The problem with that is it becomes... It's a different, like, intention, right? What if the protagonist has to get to a destination, the Demon King is sending demons that are trying to stop you? I don't know. I just work here, man. For all we know, this is a game where it's like you're just clearing out, like... the toilet. You're like unclogging the toilet and going through the floors of the toilet. Everything just looks like a demon, but it's actually just a turd. Vampire Survivors 3D is already thing. It's called Megabonk. Yeah, I know. I'm trying not to like. I'm trying to not influence my game's design because of Megabonk, because it's like the hot thing right now. Oh god. I'm trying to like. I want to make a game where it's like, you know. Just really fun combat. I think that's like the thing. I really like making games that have fun combat. And so I want to try to make this game just that, if we can, you know? I don't know. It'll be, I think minimum, this project will probably take a year. Ideally, I would want to do way less than 3 years, though, because I would like to move on to the next game. And also, by the time this game comes out, I'll probably be 30. Movement plus combat beats everything. I was surprised that Megabonk's AI such enemies were as simple as they were when you compared it to Risk of Rain 2. I actually think Megabonk really fits the type of game that it's trying to be, the type of experience it's going for, which is number go up, destroying big realms of enemies. But I find it really funny and interesting that the enemies will climb over each other. I think that worked, even though it was a bug. I think it actually works so well for the type of game that it was trying to be. And I think it fits it so well, you know what I mean? It fits it so well. But yeah, sometimes it's like the simplest solution is the best solution. But yeah, we'll have to kind of figure out our again, I kind of fucking hate this, but it is a good thing for me to do and learn, is improving my AI skills. You know, like that is one of our big developer goals here, is improving enemy AI behavior and nav mesh skills. I can't keep running away from trying to figure out like how to make more enjoyable, challenging, fun AI, so that will have to be one of the goals of this project. It's funny to see how much it consumes Shroud. I'm telling you, when a game like goes into that realm of number go up, it can suck up anybody. It can suck up anybody's time. It could be like a guy who just plays shooters most of the time. Yeah. This is more like an arena round based game or more of a journey. The current design is you go up 5 floors. So kind of like Risk of Rain, you roam around the map, you find chests, etc. that give you like items and upgrades or whatever. And then you find like a teleporter or some sort of button that like maybe spawns a mini boss that you then have to fight, and then you can move on to the next floor. That's kind of the design currently. Is there a chance that changes? Probably. Probably. Yeah. Maybe. Maybe one day we say, fuck it, let's just do one floor that you just survive to 30 minutes or some shit. I don't know. Who knows? It all started out with a different design philosophy of being like, we kind of going Souls-like mode and making it so there's actually 100 floors. And as you work your way up, you like unlock shortcuts. So it's like from floor 2 to floor 6, you unlock a shortcut, and that like skips a whole section or whatever. But then I was like, how are we going to fill in those 100 floors with unique content and whatnot? I'm like, there's no fucking way. Let's just go down to like 5 floors. Because ain't no way are we doing 100 floors. It's a very cool idea, like a Souls-like kind of thing, and we can kind of like randomize it, and that's not a problem, but I think the PCG is going to fall off very quickly. So yeah, even though I had some ideas of how we could potentially randomize it, I just don't think it would be enough. I think players would find it like, I like the idea of a shortcut system because I think it's cool. It's a cool aspect. It mixes like Souls-like / Metroidvania kind of elements, but yeah. The Bleakest Keep. Is it on Steam? Let's try it. Let's check it out. The Bleakest Keep is a challenging action horror roguelite. Survive the horrors of the keep, upgrade your gear, and earn ranks as you ascend the tower. You know what? Actually, I think I did see this at one point. Very interesting. I think I did see this game. Yes, I did. Now that I recognize that one character. Yep. Yeah. It's the game where, like, this character model had, like, more animations than anything else. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, it took me a bit. Yeah, I see it. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I don't know how this game functions, but I'm sure, there's some similarities that you could probably find. Whoa. I really like the loop system in Risk of Rain, and you never get the same level sequence as you keep going around. Right. That's something I'd like to play around with if I can. We'll see. I can't determine every element of the game. There's only so much I can... Nutshot. There's only so much I can determine. Like, from the beginning. I have a general, like, idea in my head of how I want to aim, like, the gameplay and the design and whatnot. I ideally would like to nail down more of, like, these ideas and concepts, but... Yeah. To start with, they didn't have that. I went to early access with the same sequence that you just could repeat. Is that how Risk of Rain was? Or Risk of Rain 2? Or are you talking about Risk of Rain 2 or Risk of Rain 1? The 2D version. Risk of Rain 2? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like a game sometimes, like, evolves, you know? And I think what I'm going to do is I will feel it out as we work on elements of the game and feel out what direction is the game trying to be. You know what I mean? Like, as we work on it, I'll just kind of go with the flow rather than trying to, like, mold it into something it's not. We'll see what feels right. I kind of hate working that way because there's a lot of unknown and we end up kind of going in a circle and that ends up delaying development time a lot, but I think we'll just get a feel for it. What we might aim for, if we can, I don't know if it'll work out, is maybe Steam Next Fest, which I think in 2026, the closest one I believe is, someone correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's February? Yeah. My firing swords, currently. There'll be arrows, though. They will be arrows. Previously, our like old design was you were throwing the sword that you're wielding, but I changed it to like a bow and arrow. So that's why we still have the sword. Movement speed and shit makes it feel like a stealth game right now. A little bit, but there's still like sprinting and whatnot. I think it leans more into like dark and darker Dishonored, even though Dishonored is a stealth game. I don't know if I want to put stealth in this game. We'll see. It's like the last week of February. Yeah, I have no... Here's my problem with putting this game up. Because here's the thing. I think we're going to have months of like gameplay prototyping, and we're not going to have like a fully fleshed out art style. And I think calling the shot on Next Fest too early could actually hurt the game, because I think you can only participate in one Next Fest per year. I think, if I remember correctly, you can only participate in one Next Fest. I could be wrong. I swear I remember reading something about a limit on how many Next Fests you can participate in every year. Or even on a per project basis. I don't know. It's one fest per game. Yeah, I think I would just wait for whatever the next fest would be later in 2026. That's probably more applicable. How do you decide what to work on with going this kind of flow? I always feel like I'm wasting time on stuff that'll be unused. I'm also just not a very mechanics-based dev. I would say if you're first starting out, there's going to be a lot of like figuring out what works. But I think there's two questions you have to ask yourself when you come up with like what things you want to add to your game. I think the first thing is, can I get this done in a acceptable amount of time, and will it add enough value to the game to be worth the amount of time I'll be putting into it? Sometimes you can't fully answer that question because you won't know. So if you don't know, I would say make it like 100 because it might take you that many hours to figure out what it is. The other question is, does this go towards the actual general picture of what I'm trying to create? That's why I think having like a general like text here and then a general like theme and whatnot, I think is really important. Because, or even like a fantasy. So like the fantasy for this game is become a powerful, you know, monster slaying demon thing, right? I think that's important to have that kind of big picture that's at the top, because then you make decisions that go towards that. That's what I would recommend, Magma. That's what I would recommend. And then that way you can determine, oh, hey, you're starting to randomly think of features that like don't go towards that big picture and don't actually provide like enough value to the game. Then you can like be like, okay, maybe I don't do this. Maybe I cut it entirely, or I keep it for later on, you know? I would say this. So here's an example. Let's say your game is you being a cool ass knight. Someone might tell you, oh, you shouldn't work on cape physics. You know, like let's say your character has a cape and they're like, you shouldn't work on cape physics because it doesn't go towards the overall gameplay. I would actually say if it's cool and it doesn't take you too long to put in, and it's just like a cool thing that can like add to the overall game experience, I'd say do it. There's certain moments and times where I would say like little things like that do add to a game and also help with marketing. Sometimes that is a factor to think about, is like, can this thing that I'm putting in add to our marketing? Can this help with spreading the game, spreading the word of the game, the gospel, spreading the gospel. Yeah. I personally call the X the hook, which for me start with create a bit of depth and define values. Yeah, I think there's different ways of approaching it at the end of the day, and it's different ways of like approaching it in a way that's comfortable for you at the end of the day. I think that's how I would say it. I think while I did not like his more recent videos, Jonas Tyler made a great video that goes into something further than just getting a hook for a game, and goes into more detail on like, I think this is a great video because it asks bigger questions that aren't just come up with a hook. Because I really don't think a hook is enough, and I also think people misuse the term hook when it comes to a game. I think hook could just be something that is used as a marketing tool, right? I think this is a great video. It's a good video. It's a pretty good video. Hook is what leads to cuff bust. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Anytime I saw gameplay of cuff bust, this is no offense to the developer, I saw really janky first person, almost nauseating character controller. And I think that works sometimes, but in this case, it was like there was so many gameplay elements that it's like that part alone was like, I wonder if most of the negative reviews, though, are due to the limited amount of content. Cuff bust. Yeah. I personally think the hook is everything. I think it's also the reason why I think Skull and Bones failed so much. If you don't understand and respect your hook, your original values, you go against them, you undermine your entire game. I just don't like using the word hook. I think for me, I like to use the term, I like to more so be like, what is the fantasy of the game? What are you trying to like allow your player to feel? And then what is the overall experience of that? I prefer those. I think a hook is like misused in the industry. I think that's why I don't like the term hook. I think hook is used as a great marketing tool. Yeah. So people use pillars, concept, or game values. Yeah, I think those are great. I think pillars define better things of like, for me, what I want for this game is methodical gameplay where it's not extremely fast paced, but it could become fast paced based on the player's like build that they go towards. You know, things like that, right? I think those kind of play a good part in there. I would say Hook is customer facing. I would say things like pillars, concept, the game values, those kinds of things are things on the development side, and then that reflects on the marketing side or, you know, the customer facing side. Yeah. Oh, you use it on a more personal thing. Okay, interesting. I guess I look at it from a more opposite standpoint. But yeah, I think the biggest, at the end of the day, I think we all agree that your game just needs to be something. I think the problem with Skull and Bones is just there was no real directions. Oh, you're a pirate on a boat. But that's like, I don't know what. Yeah. Shady Knight? Yeah, Shady Knight is on my inspiration board. I think Shady Knight is super sick. I just don't think you can come up with a genuine idea when thinking in hooks. Here is my take. You don't need to come up with a genuine idea. I think novelty is a trick that a lot of people think you need novelty, but in reality, novelty could just be doing something in a certain way that's just a little different, or maybe filling in a gap that is you feel like is not there in the gaming space. That could be like the way you do combat. It could be the way that you do certain thing, or it could be a combination of two games that you just don't really see, or maybe, yeah. I just thought Wild West zombie shooter sounded cool. I don't have a hook. I'm just trying to make a fun game. There you go. Well, you have, that is your hook though. In essence, Wild West zombie apocalypse. That could be seen as the hook, or the thing that like your pitch, I guess. I need novelty for myself, to be honest. Otherwise, I don't care about making something that's already been overdone. I think novelty can come in small forms. I don't think it needs to be like the entire thing needs to be novel. I think novelty could be like little things in your design decisions that are novel, but they don't need to be like the largest things ever. And novelty could be the art style. It could be the music that you choose. It could be the way that you do the sound effects. It could be, you know, it could be so much more than just mechanical. Yeah. But if that is your, like, you know, the thing is like everyone's going to have different things that they aim for. For me, I don't care for story from a personal standpoint. For me, I don't really care for a story. Maybe like a general lore, but I just don't care for story. I'm more of like a gameplay guy, so like that's something that'll reflect in the way that I make games. What hooked you to start the project? Not a suggestion that is everything. After you have your hook, you define your pillars and the things that are super important is the main highway through your game. Yeah, you could view it that way. It's just sometimes putting that on paper could be pretty hard, right? What we have in our head can be kind of difficult to... The thing is, what we have in our head and visualize in some ways is very vivid, but also extremely cloudy. And so that could be difficult to actually develop, I guess. But, yeah. Resident Evil is the only stories I care about. I don't know. Like, I don't really care for story. I'm a very story guy. I feel like character-driven games just feel much more meaningful than shooty games. I would say if that's the case, then just like put that down as your like one of your important pillars, right? That could be like one of the important pillars is focusing on the story end. For me, I'm the opposite, right? I think for me, I actually fucking hate like a shit ton of dialogue in a game. Like it's just annoying. I skip through all of it. I don't really care for it. Rarely will I actually care for it. I think the only game I actually like kind of read a little bit because I just found it fun and goofy in some ways, was old school RuneScape. There's some dialogue in old school RuneScape that I'm like kind of interested in. Story can mean so much too. It's like character development, dramatic plots. Right. I think the only thing I necessarily care about, because I think it adds value to the development process, is maybe world lore. World lore and like what came to be, and then like a general, you know, what is the character. Like I don't care about like what is their relationship with blah blah blah, or what is their, you know what I mean? Like I don't really care for those elements too much. I think games that have suspense draw me in. I think suspense is great. Suspense is a fantastic tool that can be used throughout the entire design process, not just from a story standpoint, but from a game, like a gameplay standpoint. I think maybe the one game that I actually found most interesting from a story standpoint was Blueprints. I think Blueprints was very like that. Like, I didn't play the game. I watched a whole gameplay playthrough of it. I don't know who it was that I was watching play it. Probably Northern Lion. That one sucked me in, but that's not like traditional story in the sense of like, I guess how other games might approach it, but it's still story, I guess. I think that I find interesting when there's suspense involved, but in other ways I don't really care too much. Like for the zombie survival game, we could use one suspense element as, you know, how did the apocalypse begin? We could build upon that from a story standpoint. One suspense element could be the monsters themselves or the zombies, like what the anomalies could be a suspense element. Even sound could be a tool for suspense in some ways. But yeah, I don't really like, I think I like story that's meshed in with the gameplay. I think there's too many story games, in my opinion, where the story is kind of, the story is kind of like separated from the gameplay, if that makes sense. I like story that's very integrated into the gameplay in the world. I think that I'm cool with. That I'm cool with. Bro, YouTube is down and I'm forced to watch you now? Man, that's fucking down bad, man. Let me tell you. Damn, that's down. Damn, that sucks. Can you give us some examples of bad story games? Bad story games that I don't really care for. Most MMORPGs, like the story of like New World, I don't really care for at all. I have a feeling none of my comments are reaching you. Vixen, I can see your comments. I can see your comments. Soul Reaver? Never heard of it. YouTube is broken. I clicked on the first Twitch stream and here I am. Hey, well, look at that. What happened to Google? Bad story games. Bad story games where I still enjoyed the gameplay. The Jedi Knight series. Actually, Jedi Outcast was interesting because it had like an element of suspense, but I also just didn't really care for it too much. Jedi Academy was pretty bad. that one was pretty shit. Borderlands, I think, has a bad story. Yeah, just let me shoot shit and get loot, man. I think Borderlands is a good example of that. But I think Borderlands, the earlier Borderlands, had a little bit of charm, even though nowadays I think would annoy the shit out of me. Of like Claptrap and whatever. Maple Story, did not care for any of the story elements at all. Honestly, I think they could have just made do without any dialogue. What's another game where I just kind of skipped all of like the cutscenes? I'm trying to think of like single player games that I played. Because I watched a lot of people stream single player games, but I just never really cared for the story of other games necessarily. Let's see. What are some games that I played I just didn't care for the story, like, at all? Mirror's Edge I didn't really care for. I can't say Max Payne. I feel like I didn't give it enough of a chance. Also, I just don't think... I think it's out. I think the problem is with Max Payne is I didn't play it when it came out, and when I look at the gameplay and try to play it, it just feels so dated to me. It felt so dated. Hot take, you could argue that the Souls-like stories are bad, but not in what they are, more in how they're delivered. Great when watching a digest on YouTube, but during the game, I don't know. I think Souls-like is a good example of like world lore, but I also think it's I think there's a suspense element to the Souls-like games, but yeah, I think the story is pretty delivered in a real weird way. Have you played stuff where the story's all unfolding with you in the gameplay and such, like Uncharted 4? I haven't played Uncharted 4, but I remember playing The Last of Us, like the first one when it came out. I think I like the story of The Last of Us, but I think the thing that made The Last of Us special for me was I played it with my cousin, and it was like a long time ago, and it was like we were both playing on the PS3 back then. I think that was more interesting. We were kind of like experiencing it together, I suppose. I don't think it was necessarily the story itself that I was like captivated by, I think. I don't know. Whenever I think of games, I just skip all the dialogue. I just don't really care for it. I think that's the thing. I'm more so interested in competitive games and like gameplay experiences more so over the story element. To be honest, I find that more captivating and like even from a developer standpoint, I feel like I find that more captivating. Like coming up with really fun gameplay elements. Your examples of story games are like Ubisoft Slop. I think it's more so, I just don't remember any of them. I think... I like games where like the dialogue is minimal. Like I think Hollow Knight's a good example. I haven't played it, but I watched a bunch of gameplay of it, and I can tell like the dialogue is relatively minimal and whatnot. I think the thing is I just don't care for dialogue. I think that's the element I just don't care for when it comes to story. I think I'm okay with like world lore and stuff like that. I don't like Bethesda games at all. I think they have charm, but they're jank and outdated. And I just don't care for them all that much. When I played RDR2 or God of War, I have not, like, here's the thing, I don't play that many games. Like, I'm not a real gamer. I watch a lot of people play those games. Like, I watched full playthrough of Red Dead Redemption 2 and a full playthrough of God of War 2018 and God of War, whatever the one after it was, or Ragnarok. I like the story of God of War. I think I like the story of that one. I think they did a good job of that one. But I never played the previous God of Wars. So I didn't have like any nostalgic connection or anything like that. I found it really interesting. I found it to be a nice story. Like a father and son kind of story. Yeah. I'm not a real gamer. I'm a fake gamer. I think that's what most people mean by story games, not like dialogue skip spam crap. Right. I think at the end of the day, though, I still don't really care for developing story all that much. Unless it's like world lore to get people like thinking. It's like, oh, you know what happened here kind of thing. I think that is more interesting to me and more like creating suspense in some way. But yeah, dialogue, I don't really... I think I like the story of like... Or not the story, but the world lore of Control. I think that's really cool. It has a bit of like a SCP kind of vibe to it. But yeah, story games I don't really like. I don't care for story being the main driver of a game, I guess, if that makes sense. I'm more like, how do you interact with the world kind of thing. I think that's more so what I'm interested in. Like, for example, like hitting this dude's legs. I would love to make it so it's like maybe he starts crawling, or you can like pop off their leg, or more interested in those kind of elements than I am adding in story, I guess. I guess that's like kind of like the difference. Days X also has some good story. I have not seen enough Days X. I remember like vividly watching a playthrough of Days X, one of the newer ones, but I never watched any of the older ones. See, what's so funny about Disco Elysium is I hear so much about it, but I also don't at the same time. It's the most confusing game ever. It got so many awards, and it's like I never like. Maybe it's because I just never like looked for it. It's just a game being so focused on dialogue and story. I guess I just didn't really care for it. I don't know. It's such that's such an interesting one. You like what you like, right? Exactly, right. I don't really play that many games anymore either. I just haven't played that many games. Like, all things considered, when you think of someone that plays games versus me, I mostly like spend most of my hours these days like playing games like Deadlock, and I used to play a lot of Counter-Strike Global Offensive. I used to play a lot of like back in the day when I was younger, maybe like League of Legends, and at some point Valorant, and then you see like you see the trend. At one point, I was playing a bunch of PUBG and H1Z1, and it was like a lot of it is like competitive games where it's like PvP and whatnot. Like those are the big things for me. Like those are like the games I play. I was playing a lot of battle royale games or whatever. Am I gonna play Arc Raiders? Dude, I played the demo, or not the demo, but one of the play tests, and I thought it was fucking great. So I might actually buy that one. We'll see. That being said, I also played the beta of Battlefield 6, and I was like, it's fun, but I don't know if it's enough for me to spend $70 or whatever. I need to play Expedition 33. People keep going on about it. See, I think Expedition 33 is another example of a game that I think I respect it. I think it's great, but I just don't think it's for me. Just don't know if it's for me. Arc Raiders only 40, right? And it's, I can spend money on Arc Raiders, especially after playing it. And we'll see when it releases. For me, it's $60 because the Canadian dollar. The Canadian dollar. He only has 10. I think that's a good question to ask as a game developer. Is like, what is the thing you want to focus on? Because then that could be the driver of the thing that you kind of like want to work on. For me, I like working on like mechanical systems and stuff like that. That is something I want to like improve on, become better at as a developer and whatnot. Whereas like I don't really have a strive to improve my written skills and story writing and whatever. Yeah. Focus on what you like. Exactly. I think that's a good thing for like any developer, right? Is like focusing on the thing that you want to focus on. I think it's a good it's a good pillar to focus on, I think. It's going to sound deep, but making a game is as much about finding yourself and what you do and don't like deeply more than following trends, hype, or shallow thoughts. No, I think it's a good, I think for sure. I think a video game, the thing about making a video game is it's in a creative space, but it's like every creative space in one, because it's music, it's sound, it's everything you can think of in one, right? And on top of that, there's programming. Coming up with things that you actually like tangible and like interacting with it and whatnot. And the thing with working on something creatively, especially something that takes so long to make, is you become very personally attached to it, and there's some elements to that. I think that's why I had to stop reading the reviews for Suit for Hire, is because there was while I didn't want to make that an element, there was a little bit of a attachment, an emotional attachment to it. And just, I think at the end of the day, there was also just some of the reviews. I'm like, okay, I'm not gaining any value from reading these anymore. I think that was also another element of that. Yeah, I don't really care for following trends. I also think following trends, you have to be very quick with developing something if you're trying to follow a trend. Or you have to like be able to do it like well, especially depending on the trend it is. I don't know. That's why I'm always like following the methodology of like, I'm going to work on something that I want to work on that I think would be really fun and entertaining and whatever, but also something that I think would do well. I try to think of both, I guess. You got to do it quickly because trends change. A trend could literally change in 2 weeks. The Mega Bonk thing could potentially like third person Vampire Survivors, like if you don't do it well, it's like you're, you know, no one might give a shit, you know what I mean? Like it's got to be genuine as well, I think. Apologies for using this example again, but Cuff Bus is a good example of being late to the trend. The thing that's also interesting about a trend is technically there's never a bad moment for a trend. You could be the thing that brings a trend back into a space. But if it doesn't blow everybody's socks off, I think like it doesn't matter. And I think Mega Bonk is a good example of getting back into the Vampire Survivor space because it goes straight on to the type of experience it's trying to be. But it also provides a huge plethora of gameplay and ways that you want to play. Like, I guess like things like the curses and shit like that when you're choosing a mode and whatnot. And I think it does what it's trying to do very well. Whereas, I don't know. Cuff Bus, when I saw the gameplay, I saw the goofy aspect of it, but man, the first person controller just... And also the fact that it only has one map, I could understand why people are like really thrown off by that. But then you have to ask the question, is it the one map or is it the gameplay within that one map? Because there's so many games where there's only one map and it still does really well. That is a map creator too, so it's the whole like user-generated content. Interesting, there's a level editor. So, did the game not come out with levels? Or... Yeah, personally, I really hate these screenshots. It's like insane amount of depth of field and yeah, I don't know. It's not for me. You know what it feels like? It feels like an indie trying to do AAA screenshots. That's kind of what it feels like. It feels like an indie trying to make AAA screenshots. Wow. Yeah, you're not kidding. There is a bunch of DLCs. I didn't know what the DLCs were. I want to see the workshop. Are there any? Are there already? Oh, so there already are. There's already levels that were created. Posted 14th of August. Okay, so he already got some creators to make some levels. From the looks of it. Which I think is good. Right? I guess people just didn't give a shit enough about the level creator element of it. They just cared about the main game itself. So the custom levels was just not enough to drive people. I think you really got to have enough like in the base game for, I guess, people to be driven by that. Also, there's a huge difference between a developer that wants to hit the trend versus a developer that can identify the values. Megabot is in 3D vampire survivors, the dopamine loop with great balance of RNG difficulties. Exactly, I agree. I think for simplicity's sake, people just like to call it 3D Vampire Survivors or third-person Vampire Survivors. But in reality, it's like the game just nails down the experience and the fantasy of like power spike, power go up, kind of, you know, number go up kind of element, dopamine. 100%. I think there's so much more to a game than just looking at it and being like, it's just this. But in reality, it's like there's a lot more to it. Buy my indie dev friend slop that has a single level and a bunch of DLCs is a rough sell. Yeah. I really hope he gives the DLC for the people that bought the game before the price cut. Just saying the danger and trap of developing a game based on the surface of another, which is what a lot of bank investors do. Make this, but like this. Yeah, it's just, you'll maybe have like 0.1% of those that do well, but that's because they accidentally actually work towards an experience or fantasy or whatever. They accidentally find the values of it rather than just going off of this but this X but X, X but Y. It's a disaster. Look at the number of reports on Down Detector for what, YouTube? Down Detector, YouTube. YouTube down? Well, yeah, you could expect that from a service that is so fucking widely used in this day and age. 49,000 outages. Damn, it's a spike. Make John Wick but game. So the thing with Suit for Hire is I wasn't trying to go for like John Wick. Initially, a lot of it was, I just want to make an action movie protagonist game that has a challenging element to it. And then it kind of leaned into, instead of it being arcadey, it leaned more into like a kind of simulator-esque vibe. And that was always kind of the picture, is how do we make a game that makes you feel like an action movie protagonist and kind of gives you that kind of control from like a martial arts standpoint, but also like guns and stuff like that. I think it hit some of the marks, but I think if I were to recreate it now, I could probably like hit more of those marks. So, but you know, such is life. The name of the game was Thin Wick, at least when you launched it. Right, but yeah. It's like Minecraft / Roblox Prison Escape, but as a whole ass game. Make sure you turn the stamina into a float value. Thank you, Magma. Thank you. Thank you. I will do just that. As a matter of fact, maybe I will do that right now. Good reminder. Where is the stamina? Oh, yeah, right. The stamina is... Eh? Oh, yeah, the stamina is called dashes. Oh, fuck-a-me. Actually, this is going to be a much longer task. Could I switch it to float and still keep the dashes as floats, but they just increment by 1 for now? Sure. What's the worst that could happen? Okay, let's find all references of this. My computer exploding? Okay. Hoopla! Yeah. Don't yell at me. I'm working. I'm working here. Do I do anything outside of game dev? I eat food. I play games. I don't work out yet. That being said, I've been saying that for a long time now. All right, let's see if I broke anything. Okay, we're still good with our current system, albeit it is not exactly how I want it to be. Forestry today, everyone is complimenting each other and saying they love men and women and everyone is beautiful. Is the world healing? I think you found a really weird old school RuneScape world. They're supposed to be talking about politics and like other stupid shit that like nobody cares about. Ah! You shred on a guitar? I don't. I'm very shit at the guitar. I just have 4 guitars. 5. I have 3 guitars. I have 4 guitars and a bass. Yeah, I don't really do too much. Don't fall into the gotta work out to be productive person trap. I don't do that. I just think working out is healthy. I don't think it helps. I don't think it helps you. Like, it might help you be not productive, but it might help you have a good like health balance. Because there's, you know, studies behind what the shit is going on in here. There are good studies about like working out does help you, but in other ways, not really necessarily about productivity. I think there is a trap about like you gotta be productive by doing insert thing here. Eat healthy, do thing like this. There's a trap of chasing peak productivity. That I think is a trap. But I think it's good to be healthy. I think I realized I wanted to work out when for the first time in my life I picked up a kid and carried them in my arms and my arms started shaking because I'm just so fucking weak. And then at that point I was like, I need to work out. I think that was why I was like, I need to exercise. I think I'm turning into a twig. I think being able to stay disciplined in working out gives you a lot more confidence with being able to, and it's one of the easier things that you can do that's like a lot more actionable than like making games can be hard, right? Don't get me wrong. But if you can at least do one thing in your life that you feel like you can feel confident in, it might make other things feel better for you. I don't know. Everyone will approach it differently. And working out can be different things for a ton of people. It could be going on a walk. It could be going on a jog. It could be playing a sport. It could be sneezing. Hold on. I'm not working out today. I don't know where it went. It just came and went. I felt the sneeze and then it just disappeared. What happened to it? Oh, I'm not looking at YouTube chat. YouTube chat, where are you? Where are you? Watch the latest Unreal talk about substrate. It's so interesting. And in substrate, you can make multiple materials on top of each other. Yeah, there's material layering, which is cool. Yeah, substrate, I don't know, it's cool, but it's like one of those UE features where I'm like, how does it benefit me from a gaming standpoint? I think substrate is great for like cinematics and other spaces in the Unreal space, but I just don't really care for it until it feels like it's... Because I think the thing they want to do with substrate is... correct me if I'm wrong. Oh my god. They want to make substrate the standard for UE6, right? For me, I was the most productive when I was working with it. I think it was more about having a balanced work life, eating better, and probably getting... Yeah, exactly. I don't think working out is the harbinger of becoming a more productive person. I think working out provides benefits to your body and your brain and other things that might influence you to make better life decisions throughout other aspects. Also, for a lot of people, working out is a time slotted thing. It pushes you to go at a specific time. You might be going at a specific time on a scheduled day basis and whatnot, right? And if you can somehow apply that to your work, I think that's also really important. God, it's getting hot in here. I think I'm hungry. I'm going to go. Thanks for dropping by, everybody. A little bit of a really late stream. I'm going to go. I'm going to relax, chill, eat something. I'm hungry. Yeah. It is going to be fully standard. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about substrate becoming fully standard. I really like the current material structure, and I'm still trying to learn it. I don't know how I feel about substrate. Yeah. Nads, thank you for the prime. Thank you. First time being here. The stream is pretty cool. It's more like a podcast, though. Yeah. There are days where I get a lot done, but today I started really late, so we got not much done. Like I read somewhere that substrate is being turned on the next update as standard. I don't know. And I will turn it off as standard. You did more things in the last stream with less hours? That's false. That's false. That's fake news. Anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully. Yeah. Oh, I'm checking my email. Damn it. Someone turned it on once and it broke everything. Yeah, that was kind of my vibe with it. When I was in a contract job before, I remember someone turning it on and it broke everything. I was like, oh, wow, this is so cool. This is so cool. This is awesome. Let's turn it off. Let's go, like, let's revert a version. Let's revert that submit real quick. Because, like, it's not providing any value for us at all. It was, like, for 1 or 2 materials. It's like, we don't need that. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I don't think we need it. Yeah, substrate materials which are production ready and enabled by default as of UE 5.7. Yeah, I think I'll turn that off. Probably. Anyways, I think I'll just stick to 5.6 for now. Unless there's like really substantial things in 5.7, such as like optimizations. Then maybe. But then I'll just turn it off. I'm gonna go. I'm really hungry. Thanks for dropping by, everybody. Thanks for lurking, chat, and sticking around. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully earlier. I don't have to do too much tomorrow. I just have to go to the bank and give some documents and shit. Business shit that I hate. I hate this part of game development. I just want to make the game. Can I not just make a game and sell it, man? All right. Goodbye.